right, Matt, second fight on the main card, UFC Vancouver from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. You got a battle of ranked middleweights when you got number 12 ranked Uriah Hall. Primetime, but he's more or less part-time. Taking on Antonio Carlos Jr., who's ranked 13th. This fight could easily go one of two ways, and it's a hard one for me to predict, quite honestly. But how do you see this fight playing out?
It kind of depends on who can manage distance better. Because, I mean, Daniel Kelly knocked out Antonio Carlos Jr., who's the last guy who you ever want to be knocked out by in your MMA career. And we all know Uriah Hall could knock out a horse if he wanted to. But on the flip side, Uriah Hall's shown quite a few deficiencies on the ground, especially when being on his back. And that's where Antonio Carlos Jr. really strives. I mean, he's a big jiu-jitsu guy who uses jiu-jitsu like a small guy would. It's a very interesting style that he has. And we've seen in most of his fights, if he can get that top position on you, his pressure is just exhausting. And he usually finds his way to the back.
And Antonio Carlos Jr. is one of those guys like we saw last week with the Davi Ramos, who wasn't able to get it done with Islam Makhachev. This fight could play out somewhat like that. I know Makhachev's a much more well-rounded fighter than Uriah Hall, but Uriah Hall's stand-up skills are so good. The other thing to note is that Uriah Hall never been submitted in his pro career, which is crazy to think of. 7-7 UFC record for Uriah Hall since he joined from the Ultimate Fighter season 17. Fought in the finals against Kelvin Gastelum. It was a loss there. But since he's got wins over guys like Gegard Mousasi was able to avenge the loss. And he beat Bavon Lewis in his last fight. But that was way back in December of last year. And it was a third-round comeback that he was able to mount, which typically happens in most Uriah Hall fights. Antonio Carlos Jr., it was a loss to Ian Heinisch. What did he do in that performance?
He just didn't have cardio in that. And that's the thing. A lot of jiu-jitsu guys, and it seems to be kind of like the stereotype for a lot of Brazilians, but it's not true. But for Antonio Carlos Jr., it is. If he can't get that submission in the first round and a half, he gets so much worse as the fight goes on. Now, Uriah Hall, if he can just kind of withstand that kind of jiu-jitsu onslaught and keep the fight standing in the third round, he's always going to be dangerous. But I do think Antonio Carlos Jr. is going to be able to grind out a decision in this.
Odds minus 220 for Carlos Jr., plus 180 for Uriah Hall. I think it could very well be a flip of a coin here. I think the odds are too far apart, but I will take Antonio Carlos Jr. here. He's on a bit more of a roll. It was a 4-fight win streak before his loss to Heinisch, and he really burned his gas tank in that fight and tried his best. But Matt, UFC Vancouver, 2-minute predictions. We got more of them from our main card. Let's get into it.